do that with the secretariats and the technical support. I think we need to think a bit more out of the box for such areas. Possibly also involving the point from this region where sort of water management, etc., could be considered to bring the economies of scale for such integrated system. So the question is the following, and this is for DGN, but maybe also to comment on that. Do you think that an improvement of the definition of renewable community could come about whereupon we bring those segments into this equation? Thank you.
Thanks. I agree and disagree with what you're saying, because when I mentioned decentralized energy system, I mean that we're talking about smaller elements, but also that for islands, it's clear that some of these elements will be somehow isolated with a bigger challenge. But there, it's really about integrating energy as part of a whole system. I don't know if it's not possible to base everything on renewable energy. There are some possibly very small non-interconnected islands with very limited available space. You're talking about new technologies. There are technologies today that can deliver system services. An electric vehicle is basically a battery on wheels. A heat pump can programmed to mitigate the variation of electricity and supply and demand in a system. We know more and more. That's maybe the other big external factor that allowed that increase of ambition of renewable energy. We know much more about how to make those systems function. We know how a fully electric system can function. There are still some challenges with seasonal storage, but there's no reason to think that within 10 years we won't have answers to that, given the astonishing development of technology. And yes, this involves also working together with system, using waste heat from water treatment, using water as a thermal storage. There's a plethora of solutions, and the smaller you go, and the less connected to the bigger system, the more necessary it becomes to take all these things into account. I don't know if we need to change the definition of renewable energy communities to allow taking into account all these aspects, because I don't know if there are barriers that currently cannot be addressed with the current definitions. The definition is strict in EU law, is strictly about energy, producing, storing, sharing, selling, and so on. But it also, especially in the Renewable Energy Directive, includes as a basis the notion of socio-economic benefits for the community. It's quite a broad definition. If there are specific barriers, I would be very interested from it. But I agree with you. We really have to think about island systems and the whole economic systems, and not just energy along a narrow definition. But I don't know if currently we are preventing with the current tools from thinking like that.
It's about financing. That is the pooling the resource for integration to the necessary financing.
Thank you. Just to add a bit to that, I think that's something we're involved in this project, Horizon 2020 project, where we have been working with more than 40 initiatives on the ground, looking into how they fit to this renewable energy community, seasonal energy community, and indeed the definition by the directive seems a bit strict to what we see on the ground. However, of course, member states can decide how they transpose it, yeah? And we see the differences between what member states defined as energy community. And there we proposed a bit of a, let's say, maybe additional term, not necessarily changing, because they have their own purpose. Renewable energy communities is an energy community, but maybe adding collective energy actions is to encompass all these actions that are happening with the communities in the collective. It doesn't necessarily have to be in a certain area. Yeah, but that's a topic for another, I think, panel discussion. What I wanted to go back is financing, and we heard earlier in the conclusions from this project that financing is one of the main things that the municipalities see as a challenge. Yeah? And I think it's very good that you're here because you mentioned this sort of aspect of financing within the cross-sectoral projects, yeah, and how can we take advantage of that in a way. And I think when you go to the islands and when you go to the rural communities, okay, today everybody's talking about energy, but typically people are interested in what happens to the water, what happens to the waste, what happens to tourism and to the agriculture, because these are the things people live from, and energy is just something that supports all that, yeah, in this case critical right now, but typically it's not something that the first thing that people think about, yeah. So how can we use these sort of cross-sectoral projects to finance energy transition, or also to involve citizens and the local stakeholders? And the question is sort of from the two aspects. One is, what is there from the financing? And you mentioned this Green Cities project, for example. What is there for the financing from the EU level for the rural communities and the islands? But then also, which are some maybe innovative financing schemes that we see developing? That's sort of
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thanks a lot. You understood the big differences between, I would say, Mathieu's context and mine is that in Mathieu's context, I mean, there is an EU acquis which provides directive, but also a lot of binding, objectives. Whereas in our cooperation policies, we follow. First of all, we accompany the policies of the countries. Of course, we try to promote our values and interests, or let's say our policies. But at the end, they are the masters of their own policies and reforms. What we do in terms of financing is, I would say, in a classical manner to address grants. For different type of activities, being it some small investments, capacity building, training, awareness raising, equipment, works, whatever. But now what we try to do more and more to increase the impact is to work with financial institutions in an instrument that we call. We provide a limited amount of grants. Much bigger loans from IFIs, the investment bank or EBRD and so on. And with this kind of mixed approach, in fact, our funding aims at diminishing the overall cost of capital of the project. And this allows for much bigger investments and much bigger, impact. Our grants are used as a kind of diminishing the cost of capital, but also to provide technical assistance to the project. So if you now propose to support to a municipality, and that's what we're trying to do with the cities, and then to also enlarge it to bigger scales, is that we take a part of a SECAP, usually the one which involves energy action, because there we know that there is some kind of return on investment that can provide proceeds, and then we try to see with the bank, with the municipality, with some private operators, to what extent co-financing on this side will bring in return on investment that can then be used to finance some less profitable or non-profitable domains like water supply, wastewater treatment, waste management, and so on. And then by doing so, we also see to what extent by having an action on wastewater treatment, we can then reuse the water for agriculture, and then so on and so forth. So it's really kind of, I would say, cost-benefit analysis at an overall level, to extend that action has a profitable, result. Not easy and not always the case, but it starts slowly but surely in some, bigger cities, also where you have mayors that understand the importance not only for themselves as being elected, but also for the citizens, for, the social economy of the context, the health impact, and so on and so forth. But of course, it takes a lot of time. As I was saying before, we suffer from the fact that we do not have in any of the environment which would give us the leeway, to pinpoint where actions have to be done. So at the moment, we are only able to build our action on the sectors which provide some income, basically energy. but it's an ongoing process, and we keep very, let's say, motivated. Maybe a last point on the instrument. We are currently deploying a new set of instruments, which is the guarantee scheme. I want to make it very simple and short. We have acknowledged that in our countries, in our partner countries, we cannot count that much anymore on public investments because of the high level of public indebtedness of all countries. And so we try to foster now investment from the private operators, from Morocco to Jordan, being the private sector, the local commercial banks, private investors in these countries. But to secure the involvement of these private people in our projects, we need to provide them a kind of a guarantee on the fact that if part of the investments they give us, then we can repay that. And based on this kind of simple concept, which is a bit more complicated, but I mean, we have launched, let's say, call proposals towards IFIs that will end in the coming weeks, where we have proposed to IFIs to develop some investment portfolio of projects in the whole region, being on energy, on water, on support to SMEs, on sustainable finance, support to cities. We have different windows, we call them windows. And then they came back to us with some, let's say, proposal to get involved in these investments that were part of this investment can be covered by the EU fund. So in fact, we don't put the money on the table. We put money aside and we say to the IFIs, look, in this project where you support sustainable cities, with private operators, with Bill Gates Foundation, whoever, the money you will put, investment you will put, will hopefully deliver, but we can pay back the money you have put aside to enable some investment. And then the leverage is huge, because just to give an example, for instance, for the private sector, we provision 50% of the amount that has to be covered by the guarantee. By doing so, we hope that other investors will come to the project, and the leverage effect we hope will be around 12, meaning for €1 being put in the coffer, we hope that 12 will be invested in the project. So this will start very soon. We are about to, let's say, to award the guarantee agreements to the IFAs. It will be done in 3 weeks' time. You will certainly hear about that here, and then we'll launch the deployment. So it will take some years, but we are confident.
Before we hear from you, I just wanted to comment on that because I find that very interesting. We've seen requests like that for de-risking investments from energy communities, because when we see that energy communities approaching banks, so civil society in a way approaching banks to ask for loans to implement renewable energy projects is very difficult because banks find that a big risk. So we see that there is a need, be it from the national government or from the EU, there is a need to give some sort of de-risking to the energy community, somebody that will say we stand behind them in a way so that other private investors or other people would want to enter a project. But please, Matthew.
Thanks. On financing, so we're pretty CDG, so we don't have money. So we're trying to work on different angles. One of them is making sure that the regulation and the markets help those investments and help with that finance coming. So in that sense, we promoted, for instance, the development of power purchase agreements, by which, and especially corporate power purchase, which are also contracts where an energy user, a company, for instance, can directly go to an energy producer and over typically 20 years, let's say, buy electricity at an agreed price without going through the market. This, we have seen, is a very good way to simplify and accelerate the development of renewable energy, because it gives the developer a certainty. You know that gas will buy at this certain price over the next 4 years. It protects the companies against big fluctuations of energy prices. So these are systems that we want to develop, and we want to have energy purchase agreements also for heat, for instance. So we hope that these kind of agreements can help really create certainty on both sides for the financing of renewable electricity and really avoid all that risk created by fluctuations. Then, as we're moving into this complex energy system, we really need energy markets that send the right signals. And those signals have to be very short, very close to the evolutions of the market. So, especially for small communities, developing, for instance, the options to work with aggregators who will take production from smaller units and sell them on the markets, for instance, or allow these aggregators to play roles in flexibility, demand-side flexibility, and reward those services that allow us to balance those small systems with very high shares of variable renewables. That's where really a lot of money can go back to the developers of renewable energy. Not just feeding in your energy, and when you produce a lot for your solar panels, you're rewarded, but not that much because everyone is feeding in energy at the same time, but really creating better opportunities by allowing you to help reaching those very high levels of renewables and really get the reward for it. Those are the things that we're pushing. And then we're talking about de-risking. There's a huge money pot that is not being touched under the recovery plan, and especially with the new Repower EU plan on the impacts of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. There's a lot of grants, but there's also an extra, I think, I don't know, 90 billion euro of loans that member states are not really using at the moment because it's loans, because member states don't really see how to add that to the current schemes because many small projects really need the initial upfront costs covered in the form of grants, but loans are not so convincing. But there's so much in terms of de-risking schemes, for instance, that could be done with these available loans. So one suggestion would be really, if you have concepts for such loans, for such de-risking schemes, go to your national authority and tell them, tap into that big pot of EU money that is still there, because in every member state there's a lot available there.
Thank you for that, and I would like to close here with a bit of a, let's say, positive outlook towards this growth and how this will be implemented. To thank you very much for joining us here, and to thank you again for having me on board and for being here. Thank you. There is sorry, you were telling me. Okay, so one last question. Yeah?
It's more a comment than a question. I'm Estefania Jimenez Puerta. I'm policy officer at Municipal Waste Europe. We represent municipalities working on waste management. And I wanted to make the link between waste management and energy, because as you know, we have in 1st January 2024 to separately collect bio-waste, in many cases maybe without treatment. And I wanted to flag this issue because you mentioned before, and you as well, the problem of permitting. Permitting is an issue to deploy bio-waste treatment capacity in EU and especially in the southern countries. But another issue is in the Renewable Energy Directive. I'm not an expert on this piece of legislation, it's more my boss, but I can tell you that there is no a good understanding on the benefits for climate and in terms of energy in that piece of legislation, and we are working on amendments because investments are more focused on anaerobic digestion for manure, for example, but not for bio-waste. Investors are not so interested in bio-waste treatment, so I will finish there. But I wanted to flag this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Waste lobby and action here. Thank you very much to our colleagues from the Commission. Thank you, Lucia, for your time, for your expertise, your moderation skills. Thank you. We're going to take a short break, 10, 15 minutes, and then we'll be back. Thank you.
We love it. It's really
I turn these two microphones. They need to be turned on when you're. Yeah, they need to just at the bottom. Switch it. So we can leave it. Put it back on.
For the moment, like all the cables from the mic.
To remove it?
Yeah, all of them. At the same time together. This one and the other one. And the other one. And the other one.
So it's not working?
It's unplugged because I think it was that, but it's not that. For the moment, I didn't.
I hate this. 2 weeks ago, I was getting a hearing. Concert. Never again. Never again. It's nightmare for me and for me especially.
Barcelona.
It's coming from here.
It's still Navabi. That's a big thing because Navabi don't have any access. This is mine. I shared it last night. Just two small things that I have to check. I have a meeting with her. Yeah, it's not really necessary that we come. Yeah, it's just because what I would like to say is showing the package. I think they have many issues.
Yes, but I'm feeling sick. Rain last night, in the morning, comes in another thing. I have an answer. That was exactly how I
It's something for the starting video. Start the video. Very collapse. Quick. I think so. I don't know when exactly. Maybe we can interview. Good news. My private client paid me. I've been invoiced till the negative. Yeah,
It's only for, like, you just plug it in the app.
yeah, no, you have an adapter for Android.
Oh, that's cool. Is it yours or
That's
the office? And it's like
it's
I want to get one for myself.
But this is the full version. The new one, they have an accessory that you can put there, and you can only
But then how it's, you don't, it's just like this. You just have it in your hand. Like,
you have in your, if you want to manage money, many more options.
I want to check. You can tell me how it's called, and I want to check it because I want one for myself.
It's called a DJI Mini.
DJI?
Yeah, DJI Mini. And you have a memory card inside.
Sorry?
You have a memory card inside.
No, because I do. I mean, I use it a lot for videos on my own. So, and also sometimes they're not stabilized. I can tell, like, if I go like this, and that is
Here you have.
very good. I got this for this many people.
But now,
As always, because the sheep is like out.
This one.
This. So, ladies and gentlemen, we will start. Please take your seats. We will start with the second panel, stories of Mediterranean energy transition flagship cases. I will give the microphone to moderator. My good friends or friends from Senior Resources for Environmental Park. She will also introduce the panelists. So, Alexia, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Danilo, for this introduction. So I'm Alexia Boulanger from Environment Park. It is a science and technology park located in Turin, in Italy, dedicated to environment and clean technologies. Today, I'm very glad to be there and to moderate this second panel. I would like to invite the panelists to come and sit here close to me. So this second panel will be dedicated to present the story of our Mediterranean energy transition flagship cases. As Cynthia presented previously, the ATU initiative has been one of the most relevant activity we managed to realize in the framework of the Renewable Energy Project, because it gave us the opportunity to measure ourselves and to apply and adapt the ATU model we built in the first phase of the project to real needs. So it has been a very important activity for us, and for us it was very important also to tell you this story. And so this panel will be the way to do that. So for doing that, we have representatives of flagship cases. One from Italy, it is Mr. Carmelo Licitra. He's energy manager of the municipality of Ragusa in Sicily. After we will have Mr. Antonio Leccia. He's the head of the climate change office of the Honda municipality in the autonomous community of Valencia. And we will have also with us Mr. Branimir Gregovic, head of EU from in Croatia, in the county of Zagreb. And we will have also with us the technical part, or technical or precious technical experts that supported us in all this travel in the ATU initiative and in the renewable energy community. Francesco Filippi from Muscle Foundation, partner of the Local for Green and Local for Green Plus project, and is partner of Prismi and Prismi Plus project, and from La Sapienza University. Okay, so I won't be long, and I would like to give the floor now directly to our flagship cases for the presentation. We will start with Carmelo Licitra for the presentation of the flagship case of Ragusa. Thank you, Carmelo.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you for the invitations of organized. Very important and very interesting presentations and discussions I listened this morning. I made some slides, please.
Next one.
Does it work?
Yeah, it works.
Okay, next one. Okay, this is my picture. I'm an electrical engineer that occupies over energy since 20 years. we started building PV plants for our municipality. We have now almost 20 plants for a total capacity of nearly 400 and the first one was developed in, over 20 years ago in 2001 with on 10,000 PV roofs program of Environment Ministry of Italy. Go on, please. Okay, this is the our territory. It's medium municipality. Is located at the southeast province of Italy and of Europe, and it has a very wide territory that spans from the seaside to the highlands. Ragusa is the main urban area, and we have another urban area at the seaside. Talking about renewables, there is just a good awareness of population and medium enterprise that it's depicted in the picture on the right. It represents the total of PV plants realized in our territory. It demonstrates that there is a good awareness of the people and accepted since a lot of time renewables. We are trying to develop to facilitate the development of these plants by promoting renewable communities. Please, next. And this is the plans that we act for promoting low carbon emissions. We started with 250 with the approval of the CF, and we approved the SECAP in March of this year, increasing the target from 23% to 40%. And now we are waiting for joint research center approval. For Agenda 2030, we participated a seat at the program on 100 climate neutral cities by 2030. But we are not selected. The town selected in Italy spans from Rome to the north, all the to about the same topics, we approved the plan. We are not direct involved in this plan because this is mandatory for cities, so cities above 100,000 citizens, but we made them appropriate for planning a new system based on electromobility and also for planning the creations of new low traffic zones. And furthermore, we go on with several energy efficiency projects that are ongoing for public buildings and also for lighting systems. Go on, please. Coming to the initiative, we published in March 2020 a public call for intercept interest of citizens and small and medium enterprise to form energy communities with the municipality. In this framework, we selected 10 projects. One of these is located in the rural area of San Giacomo, that is at the northeast of the main center of Ragusa. And it is a good success because almost 10 residents answered the call. And so we decided to candidate this for the partnership of the EU program. Go on, and this is the site. The system is composed of almost at least one production plant. Is located over the rooftop of the school, of the public school. It is designed for power of 20 kilowatts peak, and will be able to produce energy sufficient for the self-consumptions and for the members that answered the call. Go on, please. The objective of the project are the same the objectives of the community to increase the awareness of the members of the community, and we proved that we find that the sensibility in this type of project is just high, because the sense of community in this small area, rural area, is just developed. We promote also this initiative. We think that energy communities can deliver other services to their members. Especially, we think that e-mobility can be one of the most important services that can be provided to their members and other residents of the territory. Go on, please. Okay, these are the tools that we used during our participation on this project. We use basically three of the tools. The first tool, Local for Green Plus and PRISM, was implemented for simulations on the entire municipality based on the data driven by CCAPs and phones and SOMs. And for the project we made some simulations on Pegasus. Another focus was made about the possibility of implementing crowdfunding schemes, but this trial was stopped by our financial department, because it thinks that is not suitable for public administrations. There's an internal fight because we suppose that instead this financial scheme is very useful for growing that kind of experiences. Go on, please. Okay, this is a short summary of the two simulations made with Pegasus, again with the community of San Giacomo. The simulations, go on. And these are the data driven by the simulation with PRISM Plus with three scenarios, three different scenarios. Obviously, the results are very direct and very easy to understand. But we find very useful to use these tools, and it's very profitable in the phase of early design of the projects. Go on, please. Okay, this is a scheme, basic scheme about the hypothesis of establishing a crowdfunding scheme. Was made around 50,000 euros 40,000 for the community, 80,000 for communication campaign, and platform fees that estimated for an amount, total amount of 50,000. We suppose we made the simulations in thinking about the 1,000 participants at the scheme and performing 2,000 communication contacts. Go on, please. These are the four directions that we think to implement for energy governance and financing of the communities. When possible, direct financing through its own financial resources, but with the public funds. Crowdfunding is listed here. A new strategy is financed by members. In some cases, this is important where there are barriers, especially in that cannot build installations of photovoltaic that are not allowed because there are some barriers and constraints due to the heritage of UNESCO. And the last one is financed by local companies. This is we will see in the next slide. Okay, this is the next project to be implemented. The first community started a few weeks ago, was approved by the municipality. It accounts for one prosumer and two consumers. They are three small and medium enterprise. They are located inside the European area. And we are now undergoing under legal entity creation. The prosumer is just operating a PV plant that was built beyond its energy needs. Furthermore, we are implementing two projects with third-party financing. The first one in October 21 has a proposal approved that comprises 14 PV plants for a total power of 900 kilowatts peak. And another new proposal is under construction. It accounts for a total amount of power located in 12 or 15 buildings. We are taking into account only buildings at the moment. We are not taking into account grounds owned by the municipality. And furthermore, we are thinking about power purchase agreement. Power purchase agreement is another strategies. I thought I list about the first panel. In Italy, I think that for public entities is not so useful. It's not so viable. The legal framework is not adapted to implement that scheme, but it will be a good way to improve the total capacity of the realization of PV and renewables in Italy, especially addressed to local entities or municipality. Furthermore, we promote the local agreements between other public administrations. And this proposal was just signed with the Ragusa province. This agreement made a first effect because also the buildings of the province are taken into account in the proposal of third-party financing of the point number 2 of this. The crowdfunding can be obviously a good alternative for financing this project. The last one. Okay, thank you very much, and sorry for my poor English.
And you explained very well, you illustrated very well the flagship case of Ragusa. So in Ragusa, we apply some tools at the whole municipality level, and some others at just at the level of the urban, the rural fraction of San Giacomo. And so just to explain that the ATU toolbox is adapted to different scale in the territory. And I'm happy that you continue to consider crowdfunding as a good option for funding this kind of project. I agree with that, and but I know that it is always complicated to introduce new elements, new things in administration and public administration. So maybe it will take time, but don't give up. Okay, so now we will continue with Spain with Mr. Antonio Lecha, yes, with the municipality of Onda that work in a different kind of projects.
Hello, first of all, I wanted to thank Cynthia and Alexia, all the partners, to inviting us to here and having the opportunity to show to you what we have done during this, for us, 2 intensive years, and I declare very hard years. Is the last one?
Is it that one?
Yes,
Okay,
we have to
so
start
with the
first.
presentation. Then give me 1 second.
We started, we started in 2011 thinking about how to work this amazing work. And the local government decided to create a new office, changing the name of the former office. So they gave more competencies to this office. We are in charge of all. What are the pictures?
Technology is not our friend. Let me download it again. I don't know why I'm not sure.
So as I said, we started to work in projects at the same time. Our government decided to continue with the signatory of the sign to the addition to the Covenant of Mayors. We started in 2010, but the project was very up, and then they decided to carry on with the project. So we had to deliver it in 2 years. So we had the link in 2022 to the summit. All the documents that you have are conclusion to deliver to the Commission. So we started with the emissions. We've continued with the analysis of risk and vulnerabilities, and finally with the CCAP, with the 6th period. We had we were lucky because we met all the team of the Interreg Euro-Med Renewable Energy, and we saw about the last call that I think it was in January, that you arranged the call to select different flagship cases, and we were lucky because we were selected. So we started to work with good professionals like Francesco and Mario and Davide. So I wanted to thank probably your valuable help for us in some specific parts of the project. As I said, the engagement of the local government is very, very important in terms of sustainability, energy efficiency, and so on. Next one, Marco, please. Put in on this overview about our city. We are located in regional community of Valencia, specifically in the province of Castellón, in the interior. No. We are one of the largest municipality in the province. More than 100 square kilometers are our extension total land on the surface, and we are very close to the coast, just 20 kilometers, and very close to the mountain. So we are considered the gate of the entrance to the natural park Serras. So it means that our potentials, of course, this one please, is very huge. When you just like to make some publicity of our city, in terms of tourism, we can offer to the visitors the possibility to go trekking to the mountains in natural Serras. Although we can swim and sail with kayak in the Sitjar Dam, even though you could enjoy walking through the narrow streets and cobblestone and even in a beautiful square like this one, going up to the castle, our Muslim castle. And of course, you can enjoy in terms of culture, visiting our two important museums. The first is the Natural Science Museum. You can see the weirdest species in the world of animals, and of course, we are very proud with our Museum of Ceramics, where we keep remains, archaeological remains, and all the tiles that we get from the renovation of the house in the old town. That's one. In terms of industry, if we, as we are, we have a huge sector in terms of municipality, it means that we have more than the 10% of the surface is designated to industrial land. It means that our potential in terms of sustainability is very important, because you can see here this surface is all the part of the industrial land. I said that more than the 10% of this surface, it means 11 million square meters are designated to industrial, and the biggest and the most important companies of industry are located in our territory. And they are nowadays, as always a municipality in the province of Castellón with a high energy demand, due to a strong industrial sector. I have to remind that the most important companies of size are located on energy. You can see an example where one of the largest photovoltaic farm in Europe is located in our municipality. More than 70,000 square meters, 40,000 PV panels are producing nowadays more than 13 megabytes of energy. And the next step that we are to undertake is to develop another or the one over there. So we will get more than 12.5 billion square meters. What about the project? I said, agreed to the governor of mayor, so we had different targets to fulfill. Of course, the first one is to in our territory, and the second is increase and create our city more resilient, adapting it to the impacts of climate change. At this moment, CICAP was finished, was submitted to the commission, and we got in the 5th of September 2022 the feedback report from the Joint Research Center. So we started to implement the project. And what about the project? I will skip this slide because I think you explained before carefully what due to each initiative is. So maybe so we continue. I wanted to highlight, but of course for us, very important to know about two specific programs. This means were the program that we used to develop our SICAP. Classification on that, so aims to apply the E2 model and toolbox to our ongoing SICAP. And we started from the SIAP to change, we came to the SICAP. So specifically what we were expecting of the E2 initiative was to take into advantage tools, knowledge, and experience and results of this project in order to get the goals about CDJs included in our 2030 agenda. Here is the table which summarizes in a few words what the relation of the alignment with agenda and SICAP and the E2 principles. Regarding holistic response to climate change, of course, City Council established CO2 emission limits and measures to be taken in order to achieve SICAP. In regarding territorial equality, by 2030, City Council of Onda will encourage sustainable urban planning. It's very useful for us and needed that we have to develop the urban plan because we have very nice projects to develop to undertake in the future. In social innovation, of course, there are two targets, 11.1 and 8.6. In terms of green electrification by increasing rest in not only in the public houses and private housing, but also in the industrial buildings. In cooperation and commitment, the idea is to drop bylaws and call for subsidies in order to establish policy of demand and support of the economy. How have we worked in collaboration with the E2 initiative? The collaboration developed consisted in the following steps. First, test the E2 model to establish the interaction and alignment of the strategic measures between SICAP and our 2030 agenda. And second, propose measures and proposals focusing on compliance with the sustainable development goals, specifically in the number 17, target climate action. And the same, reduce energy consumption and saving measures in the private sector. That it's what we have done during these last 10 years. The strategy for applying E2 model to the flagship case in Onda was focused in assessment of measures already adopted in the plan. And as Cynthia explained as well, it was studied in assessment in three scenarios. First scenario, in a short time, let's say the current situation. Second, in a scenario 2, midterm with targets by 2030, and the third scenario with targets by 2050. All of them, of course, were provided to provide a holistic assessment of the SICAP using these E2 indicators. Regarding the territorial component, the aim was to develop REST projects to reduce emissions by 50% in scenario 2 and 75% in scenario 3. About technological component, the idea should be to install appropriate size of photovoltaic panels, of course. About social component, the idea was think in improvement of reliability and well-being to ensure to be reached 50% of social passive social housing. And finally, regarding organizational component, the components of the industrial areas will have to encourage a green economy. This analysis, of course, as I said before, two programs, PRISM and PROGRAM, were very useful for us. This analysis was useful for us, as I said, as part of the decision-making progress after the program our SICAP, and the scenarios estimated by PRISM to identify the impact in CO2 emissions mitigation by increasing REST. Here we have the results obtained by PRISM. In a short summarize, PRISM did the simulation show potential renewable energy generation to cover the electricity consumption of our buildings. The analysis and simulation considered the real consumption of all buildings public buildings in Onda for a year. And the analysis also considered the total area of the rooftop of each our public buildings. In the first scenario, there were the half of the surface, 11,000 square meters. In the second scenario, the total of the surface, 24,000 square meters. Both scenarios 2 and 3 estimated the potential of installing PV panels. Scenario 3 also included the utilization of the transportation vehicles owned by the City Council of Onda. And the results you can see here, in scenario 2 show that this surface 11,000 square meters of PV panels could generate around 2.03 gigawatts hour per year, which could cover 37% of electricity consumption. And in scenario 3, energy generation could reach 5.81 gigawatts hours per year by installing, as I said, installing the surface. So we could cover 77.4% of energy consumption and the 100% combining both technologies. And with regards to private building, the residential sector was already integrated in the SICAP, but the emissions inventory of the industrial area were lacking. Why were lacking? Because, as you know, we have a lot of industry of ceramics, and they are not included. They are included in the EU ETS. So yes, I am finished. So we have information about it, and it was very useful. They helped from Francisco and the laboratory for this information. In summary, you can see here, but we can avoid almost 0.2 tons of CO2 emissions equivalent. And finally, talk about what we are doing now with, in this moment. We are developing our 2030 agenda around 4 axes. That one, where we are giving information and participating in different conferences, not only in local meetings, but also around the country. Here, our mayor was participating in the meeting of the 2030 agenda and the work of local entities. And of course, the idea is to disseminate all the information of these 4 axes: promote and favor your economy, generate environmental quality, maintain a high commitment to the sustainable and land management and urban planning, and innovate in the management of services to improve the use of technologies. Now, these are all the measures in the SICAP. These are which are how the measures are in progress. Some of them have finished, other are in progress, and of course we are going to start with the most important. To install PV panels in our public buildings. More things that we have done during these years. We have a strategic smart city plan where we can manage through the smart city platform the environment quality, public parking, fire detection, and so on. We have got some recognitions during these 3 years working so far, as I said. And the last one that we are very proud is this. It consists in we have been selected through the Spanish Olympic Committee as the 5 cities in the country were selected. So we will have in a short time we will have developed in those big areas a new green land between the industrial area and the agricultural area. So we will got the money for reforest this big area. And what about the future? We are going to start next year developing. We are now starting meetings to start with the local energy communities. And to finish, Alexia, let me show a short video of our city that I think it will help you to know where we are and what is our city.
Onda, the city of quality of life and opportunities. city with more than 300 sunny days a year, beside the sea and natural parks. With unique traditions and ancient history, and heritage declared assets of cultural impact. A city to live in with your family, a place to grow and progress due to its excellent facilities, services and surroundings. Active and diverse, committed to sports and the well-being of individuals. A sustainable and modern city committed to the environment, safe and welcoming, always willing to engage with you. All this and much more in Bonds and Logistics, Mediterranean Business Park.
That's all, thank you.
Sorry for stressing you. But we will need to respect the time but okay, that's okay. It was a very nice presentation. The thing that surprised me more with Rwanda is that the municipality creates a climate change office, and this is a very strong commitment. It's very nice. Great to hear that, and all your activities, all your projects, and you are doing a lot of things. So well done, and continue like that. Okay, so now we'll give the floor to Renewable from Bordeaux that represents us the Croatian reflection.
Thank you, Alexia. And thank you to the organizers for putting together such an event. We hope that this final event will bring forth even more media coverage for our project. Just a short bio. I work at the municipality. We have 15 employees total. So I'm one of them. We don't have a climate change office yet. It would probably be good to open one and to find more employees, but we are where we are. And where are we? We are in Croatia, and very near the capital of Zagreb, and on the very border with the Republic of Slovenia. Brdovac is in the northwestern part of Zagreb County. It has nearly 11,000 inhabitants and a surface area of 37 square kilometers. Here you can see our municipality. It is basically very compact, centered around the main axis of the main road and the railway. And it gives us some real opportunities because we're not very spread out. We're rather compact. And what you can see to the right, this is not our part of our municipality. It's a different municipality. So basically, we're just the line is somewhere there. Yeah. Basically, but we are in an urban area in this project. It's actually a semi-urban, a rural-urban combination. I think all municipalities and towns have those combinations, but we're rather close to the completely urban area, so we can classify as one. Our plans for lowering carbon emissions started with the SEAT in 2011 and are now with the same.
Let's hope.
I will. The second is being finished right now. We also have urban mobility plan finished. It's the Green Mobile Brdovac, and we're preparing other initiatives in the LIFE program for developing energy communities for the citizens. This is the main railway through our municipality. As you can see, it's electrified. We have 100% electrified railway. That's a good start for us. That's where we're basing our urban mobility plan. We hope to put all the people going to the urban centers of Zaprešić and Zagreb. They're working there, they're commuting every day, and we hope to put them all on trains. Around half of them are already using trains. We hope that the other part that are using cars can do that. And this is also a part of what we have done and what we are doing. This is a project I have been mentioning in March. Perhaps some of you remember building a bicycle path alongside the railroad track. And it is meant to encourage people to cycle more. It's very protected, as you can see. No danger, no cars. So it connects major railway hubs and enables people to get to the railway stations faster. We're also planning to create a bus network with electric buses that would feed the railway stations, and people would then catch their trains and go to the city centers. So that's our plan. That's in our urban mobility plan. This is the collection of cars within this project. We are it details some of the parts of the setup that we have been doing since 2009, 2010, and this was our rough emission value. We can go on. And we have decided to create a SECAP and to go further. Like we heard in the first panel, it's happening to us all. We have to really engage more. We have to increase our targets for the renewable energy sector, and we really need more planning, more quality planning, and some real data to cover it all out. Within this project, we have used two of the main tools. That's right. Local for Green Plus and Prism Plus, and through them we have looked at some of the basic objectives using 3 scenarios. I'm not going to go into too many details right here, but like in other cases, we have looked at the business as usual scenario, the gradual energy transition, and the fast energy transition. And of course, like other cases, looked at years 2030 and 2050. This is the basic result for the year 2030 with the gradual energy transition, fast energy transition from the Prism Plus tool and the local for Green Plus tool. So we can see large reductions in CO2 emissions, but for the year 2050, we have 0 emissions of the CO2. So we're planning to become energy efficient completely, net zero. And our next steps for greening the territory are, of course, improving the mobility in the urban transport part with the buses and the trains. Of course, micro-mobility with the possibility for citizens to use their bicycles, their e-scooters, and new vehicles that are now being rolled out on the streets, even as we speak. Then energy efficiency for the public buildings, but also for the private sector, and renewable energy sources. This one on the right is a part of the new urban center. It is a new settlement that we're planning to build. We have a large part really close to our main railway station. So we're planning to make a new urban with renewable energy, a new settlement that will be, we like to say, for the 21st century. The mayor likes to say for the 22nd century. We'll see about that. but basically it will have all the renewable energy vectors put in place, and it's really close to the railway station, which is right here. So people will have clean transport right where they are. That would be it. I would just like to add that what we are doing, we're basically starting, and our citizens have received information. They're still not very much into it, but slowly but gradually, we are getting there, and they're starting to understand, especially now with the energy crisis, that it's going to be necessary. That's why we're starting with the renewable energy communities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Branimir, for your presentation. So you have seen through this illustration of the special cases that we managed to work on different kind of territories, semi-urban, also rural urban with a high industrial component in Onda. And also in Ragusa, it was in rural fraction in urban context. And the other flagship cases were also in islands or in rural territories. So we are of different kind of territories we managed to work on. But I think you will be curious because in all this presentation, two tools have been nominated. This Prismi Plus and Local Problem Plus tools that have been used always in these three flagship cases. So you should be very curious to know what they are, what they did, how they provide these tools, and how they apply it. So now I would like to give the floor to David Garcia from Sapienza University to present us this powerful Prismi toolkit that they provided in the framework of these two projects, and they kindly apply to the flagship cases. Thank you, David.
Thank you, Alexia. Thank you for inviting me to this very interesting event. You have already seen something about Prismi and the Prismi Plus project. We started with the previous plan only about islands with Prismi in 2017. I was the project coordinator from Sapienza University of Rome of that project. We mainly deal with energy modeling, energy system scenario, to join the research activities with a cooperation with local institutions. That is more or less our aim in our research group. If you can go on. So, what was the concept of Prismi? We tried to implement a tool for providing local administrations, providing stakeholders, decision makers, different level. It's maybe the same problem we tried to provide this tool for helping them to plan the new strategies, the new activities for decarbonizing their territories. So we started with islands.
That's good. We can hear you fine.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if maybe it's anyway, now it works. So we tried to provide this tool for local institutions to help them to make as much concrete, as much real, as better as possible the energy planning. That is one of the main challenges of the territories in general in the last decades. Of course, even more because for the climate crisis now we have to go far and far with the Fit for 55, and then with the REPowerEU package that we have seen in our previous presentation. So each institution have these funds and they have to plan how to use them as better as possible. This was the concept of PRISMI and then of PRISMI Plus. And we choose firstly because, as you know, islands are like living laboratories, are territories small, isolated geographically, so the ones that are not connected to the grid, they have to increase as much as possible the energy independence. But the same approach can be applied to other territories in different scales, because it's also a problem of national level, of course, or regional one. And with PRISMI Plus, we tried to apply also to rural areas, mountain areas, remote areas, also for tailoring this tool in different contexts, helping to find new challenges, new solutions, new typologies, new criticalities, new aims for those territories that maybe are different from island in some cases. Okay, so the final aim is also to help them develop a CETA, a clean energy transition agenda for islands, according with the template developed by the Secretariat of EU Small Islands. Yeah, maybe I better not to use it, otherwise like my death rate. So we use this template in order to speak the same language, also with the European level, we made an event in Rome with Lucia last month with the stakeholders and the Italian level that was very interesting to discuss with them, where we also presented some results of PRISMI. Okay, so this is the first consortium of PRISMI, and no, this is one of the one of PRISMI Plus, and these are the E2 initiative, the municipalities where that we just seen. And of course, it has been challenges to involve also these other territories, but I think it has been a good challenge for us, for the whole project, also for the final results we got in the project that has been maybe better than if we applied the tool only in the pilot cases foreseen in the project. So the challenges we have discussed today, of course, in islands we have seasonality problems. The energy loads will change very significantly from the summer season to the rest of the years. The loads will be 4 or 5 times higher. So we have to find a solution that does not only include the installation of new power, we can install new renewable power. Renewables is variable source of energy. Of course, we have some forecasting models for reducing as much as possible the variability of the production. But of course, we have to find other kind of solution in terms of flexibility. That is one of the key aspects of our project, to increase the match between energy consumption and energy production locally, and then to optimize the local resources according with the availability and the local constraints we have. So this is the main scheme of the methodology. Very, very quickly, we started with an analysis of local data using geographical information systems, using the already existing literature, and then we put it on a so-called toolkit that includes some open source software were developed before the starting of PRISMI, because also our approach is also to use what we already have. We cannot start again from the beginning, otherwise we move in the similar direction, anyone from himself alone, and we never reach an updated version. So we work with other universities, and then we try to add some pieces according to the time we have, with the budget we have, and the human resources we have, to make a step forward. The results, if you go on, is also to starting from this data gathering to have some outputs. That the outputs can be the ones that we have seen in the previous presentation, and also the output system of economic cost, the the price of the energy, and the payback time, the carbon avoidance cost. That is not always sometimes if I invest too much money, the carbon avoidance, the cost, the euros for each CO2 kilo that I avoided is higher than if I maybe use a medium scenario. That is the reason why we always develop at least three kinds of scenarios: the low renewables, the medium penetration of renewables, and the higher one. And then we include also the so-called sector capping. So trying to integrate also different kind of sectors like mobility, in some cases maritime mobility, in some cases the heat demand, the electricity demand, and trying to make it to consider it integrated. Okay, so this is the overall scheme of the tool, where we can use different kind of solution, different kind of energy demands, the heat, the cooling, the different kind of storages, from power to gas to the electrochemical solution, and the transport, and every kind of the industrial, as we have seen in some cases, the industrial heavy sector, in other cases a lower one, and trying to find the best solution for each considered territories. So some considerations are the same for each territory, others are different. So, or maybe there also is a strategy of the municipality. They want to focus, to put more attention on a sector or in another sector. So the outputs come from this analysis. These are some shares scenarios according to the different penetration of renewables, but we have seen the cases of Honda, of Ragusa, and so finally the last slide is to start from the first question we asked when we start writing the proposal of PRISMI, that is we always continue making new questions, contextualizing the questions in the current situation, that as we have seen now, we cannot expect 2 years ago or even 1 year ago that the energy prices will grow up so much. We cannot expect many factors we had, from the pandemic to the aggression of Ukraine, or any other that we have, together with the climate crisis that is continuing real, very important challenge in our society. So the new steps are to continue with the same question, trying to optimize the solution we just found and to change it if needed, and to enlarge the possibility to apply in the territories. This is possible only speaking together like today, and to having cooperation between companies, local institutions, academics, the society, the citizens, and everyone that is involved in the energy challenges. So I think it's all from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Davide. PRISMI has been is a very powerful toolkit. It is very technical, but you have seen that they managed to apply it to all the flagship cases mainly, and it has been very useful for the energy planning in these territories. We will finish with the tools with a different point of view to see the energy transition. Francesco and his colleague worked on fiscal taxation to implement energy transition and to improve the energy transition at local level. So, Francesco, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much for the thematic committee to invite us. It's always a pleasure to meet the Interreg Euro-Med family. is already a family after more than 6 years working together. So my name is Francesco Filippi, come from the Musol Foundation. We are an organization formed by European local authorities chief executives, and we are specialized in capacity building of local authorities. We work in Europe, but also in Africa, and all our projects are focused on capacity building of local authorities. So the local for green project, when we prepare the project idea, we wanted to use the tool of the taxation as a tool to promote renewable energy sources, and we wanted to do it at the local level. So the first step was the preparation of participatory based methodology to design fiscal policies to promote renewable energy sources. When we refer to fiscal policy, we refer to tax, fees, and other fiscal revenues managed by local authorities. We thought that green taxation was a powerful tool to promote the transition in general, and in that case, the renewable resources. So we wanted to align also the local fiscality, local taxation to these purposes, green purposes. After drafting the common methodology, we provided technical support to really several municipalities all around the Mediterranean the Med area to apply the methodology, and with the involvement of the municipalities to design the more proper and tailored fiscal policy to each municipality. It was really not let's say a copy-paste. Of course, in each country there is a limited range of taxes and fees that we can modify or we can put in place. But how do we do it? How we do it is has been really according to the local circumstances in each municipality. After designing and proposing to the local authorities a set of fiscal policies that could be implemented in each municipality, we supported the local policymakers to adopt them, to really approve them. In some cases, they were included in SECAP or other local planning strategy. In other cases, we reached the formal approval of the fiscal policies that the local green and local green plus projects. After local green, we had the opportunity to implement a mainstreaming project, the local green plus. So in the first step, the first phase between 2016 and 2018, we worked with 34 pilot municipalities, and we designed 79. Actually, we designed far more with fiscal policies, more than 100, and 79 fiscal policies were approved by 34 pilot municipalities in the countries that are mentioned in the slides. It was already quite more municipality and fiscal policies than planned in the original application form, let's say. In the local program plus that we really welcome, because for us the mainstreaming was a natural approach. We impacted directly the local policies, in that case the fiscal policies. So we had the opportunity to work with other new 17 municipalities that approved 26 fiscal policies, between modification or implementation of new taxes and fees to promote renewable energy resources. What kind of fiscal policy we have designed, and what kind have been approved by the municipalities? So most of the fiscal policies designed and approved are fiscal incentives. It means reduction of taxes and fees for those taxpayers that have implemented renewable resources in their houses, companies, businesses, etc. But also we have some cases, especially in Cyprus and Greece, where new new taxes or existing taxes and fees have been modified and slightly increased to produce an additional collection of revenues, and such revenues have been used to promote renewable resources in the municipalities. What categories of taxes and fees we have worked with? Of course, national representation, we focus on the local level. And when we analyze the taxation systems in each country we work in, of course, exist many taxes and fees. But when we go to the local level, the range of taxes and fees that are managed by local authorities are smaller, quite smaller actually. We also have the case of the taxes, especially taxes that are collected and managed by local authorities, but they cannot be modified with total freedom, let's say, by the local authority, because they are subject to national or regional regulation. So we really had, I would not say a small range of taxes and fees, because here I listed just the six most frequent taxes and fees that we have worked with, but the total list of taxes and fees we have modified is almost 18 or 20 taxes and fees, so it's not so small number. I mean, there are still work and room to work in local taxation. This is the six most common taxes and fees. Real estate tax is the really most common, where incentives for house owners, incentives have been put in place for taxpayers that use or install renewable resources. And another tax that I would highlight is the economic activity tax. It's quite strong, especially in the Spanish context, because big companies pay this tax, and the amount is relevant from the economic point of view. Is actually the case of abundance. So incentives in this tax can be interesting and very attractive for the companies, because they earn some interesting amount. And also the impact could be interesting, because if they are industries that can really implement large installation of photovoltaics. And another case I would like to remark is the tourist tax, and also with the economic activities tax. In the case of Cyprus, where they with the capital municipality and a couple of other municipalities, they chose not to put in place only incentives, it means reduction of taxes and fees, but they increased a lot the tax, the tourist tax and the tax on economic activities, and the additional revenues were used to provide the tourist tax, to provide the tourist sector with free energy audits and free energy transition planning for hotels and other tourist companies. And the impact was quite interesting, because in few years, the Cyprus Energy Agency, that was the partner in charge of the project in Cyprus, planned to cover almost the totality of the hotels of the country. This is the free energy audit and free energy planning. So the impact was quite interesting. And of course, we were glad to support also the flagship selected by the thematic community. They were included as all the other municipalities who were supporting the Local for Green Plus project. We provided them all the portfolio of fiscal policies that could be modified, and we tried to support all the flagships to tailor, let's say, the fiscal policy according to the local circumstances. I would also highlight that the work with the ETUL was not only providing support to implement the Local for Green fiscal policies. We also learned a lot, Especially about the potential of integration and complementarity with the other former modular projects, let's say, and actually new developments born during this process of collaboration. And well, it's I know that later we have some question.
I will keep your last words because it was very. I was very pleased to hear that for you as partner of previous modular project, it has been important to work in the framework of the EU initiative for the creation of synergies, complementarities among you, and that means that we did as well as possible, we try to do that building the community. So I'm happy to hear that words from you. Okay, so I would like to thank you all for your presentation. I think we all give a good overview of this initiative and the work that has been done. So we work on the renewable energy communities, on the SECAPs, integration of plants with SAMs, Agenda 2030. So it has been a very important work. And now I have a question to finish the discussion, and we can also open the discussion to the audience if you have questions. But first of all, I would like to ask you in few words, what have been for you, from each of you, from your point of view, the added value of the TU initiative of participating, and also what should be improved to your opinion? Okay, Francesco, okay, let's start with the flagship cases.
I can confirm that the tools was very useful, and we try to implement them for other projects. As I said in my presentations, a long stream of activities is carried on during these months. So therefore, these tools will be used and will be, as the other presentations, will be tailored to local level, local constraints, and local situations. Situations that now are really various, related to the energy costs, related to the new situations, but in my opinion, it's important to start quickly. The role of the local authorities in this case is very strong. It's very important. We can promote, we can act, we can give opportunities from the fiscal level, from the authorization level. Yes, there are some constraints. There are long times for network connection. Some kind of authorization. Today, other people were talking about it to shrink these times. But for me, the imperative is to move faster and faster, and I think that the local government and involvement of the other neighbor, as I said in my presentation, the province and the other public entities, it's important. It's very important. I think that this could be a good path. We are trying to implement these strategies in all directions. 360 degrees, I say often. So these tools are good instruments to help us these local sensors to act and quickly.
To support the ecosystemic thinking of the territory.
Yes.
Okay, Antonio, I don't know if you want to...
I agree with him. Of course, for us, it has been a good experience to have this help. When we started in this kind of projects, and we started in 2011, it's like when you say you have a lot of information, so you have to keep trying to count to get all the information because they have, let's say, a small problem when they require all the inputs that they need to run the programs. So it was a huge effort to us to organize all the information that we had in the compound. Because we have to consider we didn't have the information of the companies. As I said, they are included in the EU ETS. So for us, at least we had time to get all this information, but of course we did. And not having this information, it was to have the help of the professionals. So the experience has been very successful. Maybe to improve, I don't know. For us, I don't have any fun to I don't know what to say. Really, it has been a good experience. So in the future, of course, they could improve the products, but nowadays it's very, very useful.
Okay. Instead of improving, if you don't find anything, so that's good. Maybe something to add, something to consider that has been considered in this period. I don't know, but just it's okay like that.
No. Maybe for us the challenge is to get the most information we can from the industries. So we want to have it in order to improve some ideas or help them to as just for second about the industries. But we don't have a lot of information about it, so we have to call it. And then we will try to, as our miners is doing nowadays, working together with the big companies, to have them to offer our services or facilities, and then they are responding very well. In fact, a few months ago, Amazon built the huge logistic. So this is the idea.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Antonio.
Well, I agree with the other panelists that expert communication and help has been crucial for us. We are on a starting level, and the level of the sheer size of the tools, their immensity, provide us with some really useful data. Not just information. There's a cloud of information flowing around, like Antonio said, but it's really data that matters, that we can use in the future. And what's also important, maybe as to the second part of the question for the next period, to create, it would probably be good to create something of a connection to of our projects, of our flagship cases, so that they can be applied to other municipalities as well. Especially, we can all, of course, start from our neighboring municipalities so that we can create concentric circles and then cover all Europe. But it's very important that these tools don't just remain an exercise among us. We are blessed with those results, but that they are fully used in all the municipalities and towns across the regions, across the nations within the European Union.
Yeah, it's a good point, and in fact, in the last month, we are trying to enlarge the community of municipalities that would benefit of these tools with the letter of commitment initiative. So we prepare guidelines for municipalities. We would like to enlarge this community through a letter of commitment. So if someone of you is interested in, do not hesitate to ask us, and we can direct you on this initiative and on these guidelines. Francesco and Davide, from your technical point of view, okay, a bit to answer, but if you had something to add, it is.
Yeah, from my side, only consideration from our experience is that the added value has been very important also from our side, because it was how to us to go in to go out of our comfort zone. So we had a project that we wrote. We had some pilot cases that we choose where we can select the municipality, the data where they have data, and to facilitate our projects. We had to go out to other municipalities that were not selected by us, that we didn't know anything. It was like to play outside. So I think it has been a very useful test for really understand what are the potentialities, what are the critical aspects of what we were doing, and to increase together, to improve all together. This is the event that was very important for capitalize, for increasing the project outcomes, not only for us, I suppose also in Francesco. The weak, if I can say weak, but it was not a weakness, but from the partnership point of view, at the beginning, some partners were a little bit scared. Oh, how we can do that, how we can manage it. We didn't wrote exactly in the proposal. So out from your comfort zone is a little bit not easy, but so maybe the point is that I prefer to have more involvement from the work consortium. We did it. We did it successfully, more or less, but my will was to involve more the other party. Someone will work very good with the editor, but I think this is the first place, or maybe eventually in one it can be done.
In a better way.
Yeah. For the ones that were a little bit scary, oh, I don't have time, I don't have resources. This was a real life
of a project.
Of the project that we have to consider.
It's a learning curve.
Yeah, I know.
It's very hard at the beginning, but
absolutely, yeah.
We learned also from this experience, and we are aware we ask you a lot. And we are very grateful for your work, because you support us very well, and so thank you very much. And it's a good point you mentioned that, because I think it is a matter of also coordination.
Also for them, for the other of the partners less involved. At the end, they realized that it was possible.
Yeah.
And like a climb the mountain, you can tell them to see the first step you can do it.
Yeah, you don't understand the amount of work at the beginning, but doing it, you can understanding and explaining better. Okay. Francesco.
Well, just that in addition to the collaboration with the other modular project, it was really an interesting learning process. Also, the fact that we put together the tools in a demand-driven process. Let's say the territory were very willing to use that, and it was in some cases easier to apply the local program in the ETUs, let's say, than in our pilot. Yeah, really, it was quite interesting, this process. It's something that could be probably improved also looking to the new programming period. Is that all we know that administrative time and institutional changes take time. We support ETUs just in the second half or even less of the period, the last period of the previous programming period. So I think that in the future, if the new modular thematic project and also we have the possibility, if we could support the new ETUs and the current ETUs during all the 7 years long, it would be really an asset.
Yes, so you mentioned two good points. So the demand driven by the territories, that's true, because I noticed that all these special cases, they were very motivated, interested, and would like to benefit that much of the mentoring and training and coaching program. So that was very positive also as a feedback. And
It's possible to sharing employees. Yes, 15 years.
Yeah, there are different situations and not always easy. So
Very
yeah,
critical.
yeah, of course. And also the fact of being part of the initiative since the beginning. In this phase, it has been complicated because we built the ATU on the basis of your results of the first phase, and after that, the ATU initiative has been launched. But now it will be easier. The base is already set, and so we will modify it, and we will start before than in this project. I don't know if we have, maybe we have a few minutes for the audience. Yeah, Lucia, you have a question?
Yeah, I actually have 2 questions, but I don't know if there's time, so you can choose. One question is for the municipalities, because it's impressive that they also started and are going. Do you see, how do you see feedback from the municipalities towards region and the national level, maybe, to what your priorities are and what you're doing towards what they're planning on the national level? And is there feedback? That's the question for the municipalities. And then the question for the green, the fiscal policy, in order that they have more impact, or do you see one that has more impact than the other, or it just depends on the countries? Those are the questions. I don't know if there's time. So.
Maybe we can start with Francesco. So in the meanwhile, you can
Which fiscal policy, it depends on the criteria. Let's say that in terms of beneficiaries, in taxpayers that are being covered by the fiscal especially, I would say the modification of the real estate tax to give incentive for rescue performance, people that they study the rest. In terms of let's say greenhouse gases reduction, probably the economic activity tax impact was greater, and also the allocation of, I mean, the increase of the tourist tax and the allocation of the additional revenues to RES promotion.
Okay, so let's go back to the first question of Lucia. I don't know. Ooh.
Sorry, I didn't understand very well the question. Can you shortly repeat the first question?
Yeah, so the question is, the activities that you're doing and the planning that you're doing, do you communicate that towards the regional or the national level? Because you monitor it for sure on the municipality level, but then is that communicated? How is it going, and what is your plan towards?
But in our cases, there is a monitoring driven by the region administration that collects all the CCAPs and talks with the JRC for approval. These days, this check is growing. This is a point of monitoring and collecting ideas. And the regional administrations set also some grants and loans for local administrations to promote the reduction of the CCAPs and booms. Also, recently, a few months ago, in Sicily, there was also public funds for establishing energy communities. Yes, not a lot of money. For Ragusa, it's about 22,000. So for legal expenses, for constitution expenses, it's a starting point for us.
And you also have collaboration with the
Yes.
And the NEA is a national.
Yes.
So
Thank you.
No, don't worry. So I think they are also monitoring what is happening at the local level.
in the 360 degrees, I lose something.
That's normal. Antonio?
In our case, not BW, but let's say we have to submit an this kind of plans when we apply for grants to regional administration or national administration. Or sometimes directly because, for example, we submitted all the documents to get the register of the carbon footprint. So in these cases, we have to use this. We give information to the regional national and more the case of the 2030 agenda, because we are working really with the national authorities.
And what are the feedback? Okay. What are the feedback regarding your activities? What are they're supporting you?
I think that the good question is the results I tried to show to you of the recognition that we have got during these years. And I think we should because we have been working in this case for our country, have been working harder. I would consider that we are, in this case, we are in the staff of the local authorities of the Agenda 2030 in the compound.
And I'm just going to use my case in Croatia as the newest member of the EU. Programs and projects such as these are at the forefront. So they are basically pilot projects that the regional and national level have to catch up with. But fortunately, we have the help of the Regional Energetic Agency of Northwestern Croatia. They are mainly communicating with other levels. So for further questions, you can ask us. But that cooperation exists through regional agencies. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't know if there are any other questions, Manos?
Yes, I would like to raise a question to Mr. Gabriel. About the synergies, if you find any synergies among the EU tools, except PRISM. So, for example, have you taken into account the results of the other tools in your analysis? And if they don't match with the specific tools, consider some synergy with the rest of the tools, scores with PRISM. They both have common characteristics.
Yeah, absolutely. This was another very good point that we have been the possibility to do in not only with the IT initiative, but with all other initiatives of the horizontal project we had from the beginning of our and during the project lifetime, we mainly work on our sector, even if we had the occasion to discuss with the other about their results, trying to find how to integrate them. Now we really had the possibility after the end of this PRISM Plus, Local for PRISM Plus storage project to try the new concept that integrated the results that we already got during our project. So absolutely, it was one of the points that where we are working now to capitalize what we needed to continue also together with, for example, possibility was trying to apply the results of PRISM and other projects for helping the local team to realize as better as possible the renewable energy community, starting from the needs of the territory, starting from the involvement bottom up from the citizens, not only from the companies that decided to make a new renewable energy community that maybe is not the best choice for the territory. So we are trying to do that, and I hope and I'm really confident that we will have time to capitalize directly in a new project, new researches, new initiatives together.
Thank you very much. Also, thank you, Manos, for your questions. And any others? No, that's all. So I will, for us, it is finished. We will conclude this panel. Thank you very much for coming. It has been nice to have you here today. And I would like to finish for my colleague from the project, Cynthia, Manos, Danilo, Erwin, Marta. It has been a great adventure with you. And so thank you very much, and let's continue for the next 6 years.
I will also use this opportunity to thank you to our colleagues for some reflection cases. You were also always with us, learn from your cases. And especially thank you to these two guys, Davide and Francesco. Never was the case that they say no, because they really, in 6 years, they work with us, helping us. If we were having events, they are arriving there, presenting. So really, it was never case that you say we cannot come. So, and once again, a huge thank you, and the partnership really so, now, let's go to the final conclusions. So now we have two colleagues from two regional agencies, local energy agencies, one from Croatia, one from Greece. Both are the best in their own country. So I invite Kosovo from Croatia and Manos from Greece. So please to make the final conclusion.
All right. So I see that Danilo raised expectations at the very beginning. So many insights from the beginning of the day. We do agree. So do you mind if I start?
No, feel free.
So before sending my comments, first, let me transfer you Mr. Komenos, Daphne's network is working with deep regret of not being able to join us today. Given this, I will start my final remarks by adopting one of Costa's and Daphne's main policy lines. Actually, we see islands and rural areas sharing similar characteristics, challenges and potentials, making them able to drive the European Union towards energy transition. Therefore, for the last 3 years, islands and rural areas across the Mediterranean, we follow a common approach to assist projects such as the ones that presented earlier. The key element has always been holistic and horizontal character of our work, both words that have been mentioned many times in the current conference. So that means approach the context of a sustainable resources management and circular economy. This is exactly what the Daphne Network and the GEAS founder has been advocating for the last years too. This was made possible through the ETU model, which proved visual package of know-how methodologies and user-friendly tools, facilitating decarbonization and energy transition of rural areas. Our experience while working with island and rural energy transition strategies is that integrating energy planning with other sectoral plans, making use of the synergies that emerge towards decarbonization, is of the people's most interest. A simple example, let's imagine an island which will be installed a desalination plant that will be powered by green energy, providing clean water. In short, what I would like to say, that I'm trying to say, is the installation of renewable energy sources coupled with infrastructure and local needs. Another issue that I would like to raise is social acceptance that remains a barrier towards the energy transition for both. It's mainly due to the impact of landscape and land use conflicts. Thus, we believe that participatory process should be encouraged for local energy planning, involving the local society and the relevant stakeholders at the earliest possible decision-making process. Last, but certainly not least, citizen engagement nowadays depends on an additional vital factor for the energy transition. Is no other than the energy communities, the promotion of them. Energy communities are an ideal vehicle of participatory collective clean energy investments, and I'm sure that we will maximize the social benefit. That's my comments from here, and I will give
I think, yeah, we can all agree, starting with the citizens. I think that the change starts at the local level. So the key point is to have the buy-in from all stakeholders. We've heard today from the Commission from the very start. We had two key points which were mentioned. First one was the acceleration of the energy transition process, and the other one was decentralization. So this is all about decentralization of the energy system. But due to this complex and critical situation that we're currently in, we are now moving from these cost effectiveness into energy security, energy affordability as the main focus. And this focus are, of course, the citizens who are experiencing these challenges the most. Yeah, so the focus was also on island and rural areas, because as we know, these regions face some other, I would say, challenges, energy, depopulation, so socio-economic challenges, lack of capacities. This is something that we try to somehow tackle through these projects that we had presented today. And aside from that, I would say that as local communities have common problems, the only way to solve these problems is to solve them together, because the energy transition has to be fair, just, and involve all levels of our community. So it's not just the big market actors, so we have this decentralization as the key point. So in that way, we need to engage citizens to become some sort of market actors, but they just need to realize that they have the opportunity to take this role. We've also heard about crowd investing, and I'm really happy that a lot of the municipalities had the opportunity to test these models. Because there is no one solution fits all. This is why we all have these tools, different financing models, green fiscal policies. So we've developed a huge range of solutions for the energy transition. So this is why I think it's crucial that we have these initiatives, such as the renewable energy, to gather all these knowledge and to present it to the key stakeholders, local authorities. Danilo was quite modest. I would say he didn't mention the numbers behind the projects. I will not go through them. I'll just say that we've managed to engage more than 700 institutions through this project and more than 300 local authorities, which were also part of both the best buildings and the promotion of green instruments, which is, I think, quite an impressive statistic. As we all know, these are not investment projects. We are in this challenge of taking the transition from energy planning into implementation, which is always the most difficult part of how to actually make these ideas and projects happen. In that way, I think the first steps that we're doing to do this project, at least we try to help, is to set up the planning, set up the financing models, and test it on pilot projects. So I thank all these municipalities who will be at the forefront of this transition process in a way that they actually spend their time, spend their financial resources on testing of the pilot actions. So we've heard of the EU flagship cases. those experiences, I think, are quite valuable in a way that we can replicate them. And I would also like to thank all the other local authorities who have signed the manifesto and sent a letter of commitment. I think this is quite valuable part of this process, which will come in the form of a new thematic community project. So once the new projects come, and it will happen quite soon next year, so we'll be here as again, I think, the leader of this process of amplifying the results and again engaging cities, and hopefully we'll have the opportunity to work again with our projects so that we can roll the clean energy transition. So from our side, I think we would like to thank all guests, colleagues, and friends for coming here and being part of this process. And I hope to see you again.
And our guest as well, of course. Thank you very much. Last thing that been raised by Cynthia in the presentation is, I think it needs to be also mentioned. The EU model has an added value. It remains available for interested municipalities to follow and apply those tools, because, as we mentioned before, are easy to use, and we have already developed tutorials and handbooks for further elaboration and development.
It's all available.
Yeah, it's all available.
You can browse the materials over there, but I think that was time for lunch.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Okay.
I will have the final remarks more actually to say some great things, let's say. First, more than 300 local communities, more than 700 institutions which were in the last 3 years part of our project. We provide them with knowledge. We provide also direct changes in their municipalities. So to get this community and to see that really on the end, renewable energy community was really community working with the same goal to put the word renewable and energy transition on the territorial aspect. So in the local communities, the rural. So this is a huge achievement. It's a good base, really good base to go to the next 6 years. To take what we have done here, to take the best what we have done to transfer to the new initiative. With this, I will start especially to thank Nicolas Carnier, our project officer. When we started the project 6 years ago, we didn't know what the project doing. This was great. So we all have it was step by step learning by doing. Really slow emotion on the start, but on the end we really have let's say it was a big marathon. So Nicola, thank you. It was not just project officer. It's also our friend, and this is actually the added value of the project. I think also the partners, Manos, Kostas, and Eleni, they are Kostas and Eleni are not with us. I will thank you to Herboya from Regia and his colleagues. I will thank you to Marta and Stuart to actually jump in these 3 years and really manage the communication. And especially two ladies, these two lovely ladies, I will be lost really. They start with me this journey from the first day till now, and they will also go in the next journey with me. So Cynthia and Alexia, thank you. Without you, this project, our principles, our tools, our into model will not be there where it is. So once again, thank you, and yeah, see you in the next journey. Yeah, thank you.